Caitlin Clark does return to the floor. How is she going to help elevate this team even more down the stretch of the season?
Well, she demands so much gravity on the defensive end of the floor. She's constantly seeing multiple players, and she makes the right reads and makes the right plays for our group. So she's going to continue to allow us to stretch the floor. We're going to be able to, I think everybody else will be able to get more higher percentage looks because of what she demands on the defensive end of the floor. And she brings our own defensive versatility because of her length, because of her size. So we'll certainly look different. I think we'll be that much more dangerous on offense.
Stephanie White's latest ESPN interview dropped one word that set off alarms: hope. When asked if Caitlin Clark would return this season, she didn't say yes, she didn't say plan, she didn't even say expect. She said hope, and that matters. Because hope isn't certainty. Hope isn't strategy. Hope is crossing your fingers that the one player holding your franchise together comes back before the walls cave in. The Fever aren't just waiting on an injury update. They're waiting on their identity. And if the head coach can't even sound sure about Clark's return, the fans, the locker room, and the league will hear that hesitation loud and clear.
Hey, Stephanie White, do not put Ari and Kelsey and Caitlin on the floor at the same time. Please don't do it. Please don't do it, man. Please. All right? That lineup made no sense at all. All right? Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Stephanie White? All right, now.
On Monday's NBA Today, Stephanie White managed to turn an update into pure gasoline on the fire. Fever fans tuned in hoping for clarity on Caitlin Clark's return. Instead, they got a plot twist no one asked for. White didn't just dodge the timeline question, she flipped the script entirely. Forget, when will Clark be back? The new storyline is, what version of Clark are we even getting when she does return? That's not reassurance. That's panic fuel. And now the fan base isn't counting days on a calendar, they're bracing for a reality where their superstar's role looks nothing like the one that filled arenas and set records.
We've got Stephanie White praising Caitlin Clark. Did hell freeze over somewhere I don't know about? I don't know. We'll see. But she actually made some very nice comments, I guess, about Caitlin Clark today. She was on with ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, it's day-to-day right now. We're really just putting no timetable on it, going through the rehab process, and then we want to reintegrate her from a strength and conditioning standpoint, and then get her back to basketball activities, White told ESPN, pretty standard coach speak, right? Until the next part. That's where the red light started flashing for Fever fans. Instead of reassurance, White lobbed out a statement that sounded less like a recovery plan and more like a rebrand of Caitlin Clark's entire role. For a fan base already fuming over how their franchise cornerstone has been handled all year, this wasn't an update. It was an alarm siren.
Thankfully, she went on ESPN and didn't use the phrase blessing in disguise. Like, I mean this when I say this. Like, I've said this about Stephanie White plenty of times. I actually think Stephanie White's a hell of a coach. So many people are like, oh, you've done nothing but criticize Stephanie White. I think she's got flaws. I think her rotations are iffy. I think her game plans are good. I think her defense is good. And I think her ability to get a team together is pretty good. I think she likes to play a bit slow, but she is very good. What Stephanie White is really good at is making players and teams play better than they should.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. White revealed that when Clark returns, she'll be playing in a different role, one that takes her away from what made her the most dominant force in women's basketball history. I think it could be really good for us to get Clark off the ball a little bit more in certain situations, White explained. Playing on the wing provides her that opportunity, allowing us to give her a breather and present our team with varied looks. Translation: the Fever are seriously considering moving the most gifted floor general of her generation out of the driver's seat. The same Caitlin Clark who turned logo threes into must-see TV, who dragged defenses across half-court just by crossing midline, who built an empire as the ultimate on-ball creator. Now the Fever want her, floating on the wing. It's like telling Steph Curry, hey, maybe stand in the corner for a while. We'll let someone else cook. For a fan base that has watched Clark's every dribble like scripture, This wasn't a tactical adjustment, it was heresy.
In everything that we do, for us, moving her off the ball a little bit more so she's not getting worn out in game, just handling the ball 94 feet. And then we're challenging her on the defensive end of the floor as well, like being a better defender. The best that for us as an opponent, you want to attack a good offensive player by making him play on the defensive end, putting him through the ringer. So being a better defender.
This is Stephanie White at it again, trying to turn the generational talent that is Caitlin Clark into just another cog in her precious system. What White fails to understand, what she has consistently failed to understand throughout this disastrous season, is that Caitlin Clark isn't supposed to be a player in a system. She is the system. Clark doesn't need to be hidden off the ball like some role player who can't handle the spotlight. She's the engine, the architect, the reason this team even has a spotlight to begin with. Every assist, every dagger three, every moment that has turned fever games into must-watch events has come from her having the ball in her hands. Take that away, and you don't just risk slowing her down. You risk breaking the very thing that made this franchise relevant again.
With Caitlin, at the end of the day, no matter how many games they win, they lost more games without Caitlin Clark playing. So everybody argument that Caitlin Clark is the Achilles heel, Caitlin Clark is this and that, your argument is obsolete, bro. They will forever have that notion on there, that blemish on there. Now, if they would have won more games, lost less, then you might have had something. But by them losing 7 damn games without Caitlin Clark playing lets us know that, they need Caitlin Clark.
When you have the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer, a player who single-handedly revolutionized women's basketball and dragged an entire sport into mainstream headlines, you don't try to wedge her into your Connecticut Sun-style slow ball offense. You build the system around her. Period. But Stephanie White? She's doing the opposite. Stubbornly clinging to the same philosophy that made the Sun one of the lowest scoring teams in the WNBA last season, she's trying to squeeze Caitlin Clark into a role that doesn't just limit her, it shrinks her, and the receipts are piling up. The numbers don't lie. Clark has already been limited to just 13 games this season thanks to a string of soft tissue injuries. When she's managed to suit up, she's been forced into a role that stripped away her rhythm. Her FG percent has cratered to 36.7%, her three-point stroke has dipped to a brutal 27.9%, and on the road, where the game turns even more physical, she's hit just 2 of 35 from deep. That's not bad luck. That's not just rookie growing pains. That's system failure. Instead of unleashing the most dynamic offensive force the women's game has ever seen, White has handcuffed her to a scheme that suffocates pace, creativity, and confidence.
On the entire league. Remember, she literally added nearly 3 points a game to her average. She was setting records for assists. Now, that's with Christy Sides having understood the job and just letting Caitlin Clark go wild. That's why I won't buy into the Fever. She's got to greatly alter her game for the Fever to get much better. No, she came back last year, she went scorched earth, and they were beating nearly everybody.
White's obsession with micromanaging Caitlin Clark's minutes and role has been nothing short of catastrophic. While other coaches recognize that generational talents thrive when you let them play free, White insists on slapping training wheels on a Ferrari. The results speak for themselves. Clark has now missed more games due to injury in her sophomore season than she did in her entire college career. And the irony? Her so-called management plan is what's breaking her down. Clark herself tried to sound the alarm earlier this year. I'm not a huge fan of minutes restrictions. I think they're silly. I told them, I don't want to come back unless I'm 100%. Why would I be out there to play 20 minutes? But here we are, White still treating the league's biggest star like she's made of glass. And what has careful management delivered? More injuries, more setbacks, more lost time. At Iowa, Clark carried a full load, 35+ minutes a night, back-to-back Final Fours, relentless pace, and her body held up. Now, under White's slow, stop-and-go system, she's suffering constant soft tissue injuries precisely because she's being yanked out of the rhythm and flow her game is built on. It's not preservation. It's sabotage disguised as caution.
She wants to be out here on the floor, and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go from there.
Perhaps the most frustrating part of White's experiment isn't the minutes restriction, it's her insistence on pushing Caitlin Clark off the ball. And make no mistake, this isn't some harmless tactical tweak. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Clark generational. When Clark is running the offense, everything flows. The ball moves, defenses collapse, teammates get better looks, and the scoreboard tilts in Indiana's favor. Take the ball out of her hands, and you strip away the very gravity that makes her unstoppable. Clark herself has said it plainly, that's what I'm best at. The frustration is written all over her face in press conferences, where her body language tells the story louder than words. She knows this role doesn't suit her, and the results prove it. Just look at her return game against the Golden State Valkyries. Forced into White's off-ball vision, Clark put up one of her worst performances of the season, just 10 points on 4 of 12 shooting. Instead of being the engine, she was reduced to a passenger, and the Fever offense sputtered as a result.
Ari McDonald, all she care about is putting the ball in the hoop. Everybody want to score. That's it. Y'all can barely look. Y'all had 17 assists against the Aces the other night. Y'all can't even put up 20 assists a game. That's sad. That's pathetic. Y'all don't be getting Sophie the ball when she open. Know what I'm saying? She be playing defense and everything, and Lexi Hull. Y'all need to reward those girls. They working hard, bro. Those are some hard-working women at the end of the day. You hear me? That's crazy.
What makes this situation even more infuriating is the physical punishment Clark has endured while White's system has left her completely exposed. The numbers are staggering. 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA this season have been committed against Caitlin Clark. Even worse, nearly 80% of those have come from one team, the Chicago Sky. At that point, it's not coincidence. It's a pattern, from Kennedy Carter's blindside body check to Marina Mabrey's cheap shot after Clark had already been poked in the eye. The targeting has been relentless. Clark has absorbed punishment that would have ended careers in earlier eras, and yet the league's response has been little more than a shrug. Mabrey's hit? A technical upgraded to a flagrant. No suspension. No real deterrent. Just a fine and a free pass to keep going after the WNBA's most valuable player, and while Clark is taking this beating, White's response hasn't been to demand better protection from officials, hasn't been to shield her star, hasn't even been to leverage the spotlight Clark brings to pressure the league. No, White's answer has been to limit her minutes, cut her usage, and shove her into an off-ball role. Instead of defending her franchise player, she's diminishing her.
All of y'all who said we were exaggerating, Caitlin Clark's not getting fouled, bruh. It's to the point where we have this going on.
The most damaging part of White's philosophy isn't just the tactical blunders. It's the way it's breaking down Clark's spirit and neutering her effectiveness. This is a player who thrived under pressure at Iowa, who elevated her game in the biggest moments, who turned average teammates into stars simply by running the offense through her. And yet White insists on forcing her back into a system that shrinks her talent instead of unleashing it. White talks about reintegrating Clark from a strength and conditioning standpoint, as if she's some rotation player coming back from a nagging hamstring strain. Newsflash, she's not. She's the face of the franchise. She's the most valuable player in the league, not someone you ease in like a rookie bench guard. The comparison to history makes White's approach look even more absurd. Can you imagine Magic Johnson being told to go stand in the corner because the coach wanted to give him a breather? Or John Stockton parked on the wing while someone else ran pick and roll? Or Steph Curry being told to ditch the ball and spot up because the coach thought it would vary the looks? It's laughable. Yet here we are, with Stephanie White suggesting that the greatest offensive engine women's basketball has ever seen should play off the ball.
Listen to this.
Yeah, we have updates and our recovery's going well. It's just I think for us, staying the course and making sure that we're really diligent about each step that we take, and that we don't have setbacks, and that we're patient with it. I know she wants to be out here on the floor, and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go.
Fever fans have had enough. Social media has erupted with calls for Stephanie White's job, blasting her handling of Caitlin Clark. White needs to stop this game plan and let CC run the show, one angry fan posted. Never seen CC look this down and dejected. White's done her job and broken CC, said another, and the anger makes sense. Nobody is tuning in to watch White's slow, Connecticut sun style grind. They're here to see Clark light it up, dropping logo threes, threading impossible passes, and making everyone around her better. Instead, they're getting a watered-down version of the most exciting player in basketball, forced into a role that mutes her impact. That AS1 fan summed it up perfectly: if they lose, they lose. But no one wants to watch a system where Clark is standing in the corner.
I think the obvious issue is Stephanie White is so stubborn to fit a circle in a square peg instead of utilizing the strengths of the team. And she probably felt relief because Caitlin Clark was hurt, that, oh, this is my time, I could introduce the culture and the system. And some actually bought in. And then when Caitlin Clark comes back, she doesn't know how to use it.
What makes White's approach even more baffling is the championship window being wasted in real time. The Fever have the talent, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and others who can absolutely contribute at a high level. But instead of unleashing that group around Clark, White insists on forcing a system that worked in Connecticut with completely different personnel. Let's not forget, last season the Fever went 20-20 and made the playoffs for the first time since 2016 under Christy Sides. She had flaws, sure, but at least she understood the obvious: Clark had to be the centerpiece of everything. Now, with higher expectations and an even stronger roster, White seems more focused on proving her system right than putting her players in position to succeed. As Clark works her way back, the stakes couldn't be clearer. The fan base is furious. The results on the court back them up. And most importantly, Clark herself looks increasingly frustrated with being boxed into a role that doesn't match her strengths. The solution isn't complicated. Let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. Put the ball in her hands. Surround her with talent that complements her game. And then get out of the way. Every great coach in history has known the same truth: you don't build a superstar around your system, you build your system around a superstar.
Stephanie Jigsaw White, let me tell you something. Y'all do not move the ball better without my Caitlin Clark, aka my precious CC. At the end of the day, y'all have only won 4 games and recorded 4 games where y'all had 20 assists as a team at the end of the day. Caitlin Clark, aka my precious CC, she averages 7 to 9 assists a game. You hear me? Because she moves the ball and get everybody open, because everybody and their mama and their grandma be double teaming and triple teaming her, and her team is lazy when it comes to setting screens for her. Maybe she wouldn't be in.
Stephanie White's latest comments about Clark's new role aren't just tactical tinkering. They reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to maximize generational talent. Until that changes, until the Fever stop forcing Clark into an ill-fitting system and start building around her, the organization will continue to underachieve while wasting the prime years of the most transcendent player women's basketball has ever seen. Every game spent trying to jam Caitlin Clark into a Connecticut Sun playbook is a game wasted. Fever fans deserve better. Caitlin Clark deserves better. And if Stephanie White can't, or won't, adapt her philosophy to unleash the full force of Clark's game, then it may be time for the Fever to find someone who will. The hope is simple: that when Clark returns from this latest setback, she'll remind everyone why she is the star this league needs. But for that to happen, she cannot be shackled to a system designed for someone else. She doesn't fit the system. She is the system. And until White grasps that fundamental truth, Indiana will keep squandering the golden era they should be building around right.